Hi everyone. So this is just going to be a little few minutes on table and really measuring out. So it could be part of a beginner series or just really being informed about how to set yourself up. So table, think about a table, right? 4 legs underneath to support the tabletop. So when you're cued in class to come to table, you really want to have the limbs underneath you so you have a strong back. And what typically will tend to happen is people will have their arms too far out. So if you were to think that you were to go shopping for a table, go to an antique store, there might be some tables that have seen some better days. And think about the 2 tables that, or a table where the 2 legs would be kind of out. And what you would see is this like collapse and a sinking that you could, well, let me do this so you can see better. But think about if I'm not underneath myself with my arms, then this would happen. And you wouldn't want to buy a table whose legs were splayed out like that. You also wouldn't want to buy a table whose hands were too close together. So people will tend to, if I'll turn sideways, take their hands like a little closer together, which puts a lot of, first of all, a lot of pressure up in the shoulder girdle. So we want to measure. So you think about the wrists being right underneath the shoulders, and the wrist being at 90 degrees. So when you have 90 degrees at the wrist, you're going to have it at the shoulders. And this sets up a good doorway for the lungs. So when you're moving in cat-cow. The blocks is a great way to measure. So I can take the block here. And now I know that I'm here in the center of my palm, which puts me in the center of the shoulder joint. Now the legs are another thing. So once you get the measure here, you want to make sure that you're not have your knees up here, your butt back here. Because also if your table is too short front to back, you might be kind of rounded up like this. So here I am measuring here and here. So this feels like a good table. So my tail's not tucked, I'm here and I'm really holding ground. Make sure your feet are as wide as your knees and press all 10 toenails into the ground. So even when I get that all 10 toenails in the ground, the baby toe side of the foot, I feel this wicking in and back. So I really have the transversus abdominis, which is an anticipatory muscle. And every time the limbs move, the transversus abdominis should be on line, ready. And we've kind of lost that, many of us have lost that ability. So this helps to train the integrity so we can stop kind of overusing our back and really rely on the whole core. So again, being in the center of the palm, collarbone to the collarbone, wrist to wrist, you create a doorway, knee to knee, hip to hip, press your feet down. So a lot of people, they say that their knees hurt when they do table or when they do poses on their knees because they're really unplugged in their feet. So when you get the tops of the feet and you really press the tops of the feet down, energetically the knees lift up and then they don't hurt anymore. So you won't need a pad underneath them. You just got to start training your feet. So that's table. Play with it. Because the angle of the wrist, so if your hands are too far out, you're actually going to be heavy on the wrist. And people say that their wrists hurt when they do poses on their hands or their wrists are weak. So really make sure that it's actually that you're just using the right information and you have the right measure. So if the hands are too far out, you're heavy on the wrist instead of being weight-bearing across, again, the index finger, the heel of the hand, the baby finger side, and the root of the thumb. So that cross-reference will give you the center of the palm. If your hands are too far back and they're below, like closer to the knees and the shoulders, this is too much of an angle in the wrist, and that won't feel good either. So find the 90 degrees. It's the most dynamic angle. It's the angle that flushes bones, and it's the angle that's going to make sure you're really in the center of the joint, which is what you want to do in yoga, open up the joint in 2 directions. So Willow says that's all. Happy yoga. Let me know if you have questions.